When we talk about Aquarius, we often think of a single zodiac sign, the visionary, the rebel, the innovator. But what if we told you there's more than one kind of Aquarius? Yes, you read that right. While all Aquarians share a common foundation, being born between January 20th and February 18th, the truth is, there are three distinct types of Aquarius, each carrying unique traits, inner strengths, and cosmic missions. And surprisingly, your exact birth date within the Aquarius season plays a powerful role in defining which type you belong to. Born in the cusp of winter's breath and the electric anticipation of the future, the Aquarius born between January 20th and January 30th is no ordinary soul. This is the Visionary Maverick, the first wave of Aquarius energy crashing upon the world, with brilliance, nonconformity, and a piercing awareness of what is to come. These individuals carry within them the seed of revolution, the whisper of what's next, and the refusal to be anything less than utterly, authentically themselves. The early Aquarius is ruled primarily by Uranus, the planet of sudden change, innovation, and unshackled thinking. There is a quiet rebellion in their presence, not one that seeks attention through volume or spectacle, but rather a subtler force, an inner defiance against stagnation, dishonesty, and the mundane. They are not here to blend in. They are here to light the torch of progress and walk alone if they must. What sets the Visionary Maverick apart from other Aquarians is their raw purity of purpose. The January-born water-bearer is often more focused, more precise in their intent to shake the system and rebuild it with reason, ethics, and logic. They are thinkers and doers, idealists with a map, dreamers who dare to build the bridge between imagination and reality. Their minds are complex and unorthodox. They do not think in straight lines or echo popular opinions just to feel safe. Instead, they twist and turn through thoughts like cosmic wind, propelled by a deep desire to know why and what if. Their curiosity is not superficial, it drills into the roots of systems, beliefs, technologies, and relationships. They are the ones who see the cracks in the wall before anyone notices them. They are the ones who ask why we accept what we accept and whether we should anymore. These Aquarians do not seek chaos for chaos's sake. Rather, they seek liberation of the mind, the body, the collective soul. There is an inherently humanitarian frequency vibrating in their aura, though it may not always show in a sentimental way. They do not always articulate emotion in the typical sense, but their love for the world is embedded in their refusal to accept injustice, in their devotion to improvement, and in their belief in collective awakening. Solitude does not frighten the Visionary Maverick. In fact, it nourishes them. They understand that trailblazers rarely walk crowded roads. They can spend hours in their own minds, creating worlds, dismantling old patterns, and engineering ideas far ahead of their time. Many people misunderstand this trait, labeling them distant or aloof, but this distance is a necessary lens, a telescope through which they glimpse the future while the rest of us are still adjusting our eyes to the present. They often carry a paradoxical nature, emotionally detached yet deeply empathetic, cool on the surface yet burning with passion for change. The early Aquarius knows that emotion must be balanced with reason. They are often old souls wrapped in modern skin traditional values with a futuristic vision. They believe in loyalty, truth, and authenticity, but they are not chained by tradition. They reimagine it, they upgrade it. When it comes to relationships, the Visionary Maverick does not settle. They require connection on the level of soul and mind. Surface-level interactions drain them. They crave mental stimulation, spiritual conversation, shared missions. Love, to them, is not just chemistry, is synergy. They fall in love with minds, with ideas, with someone's potential to build a better world alongside them. In friendships, they are loyal in the most unorthodox ways. They may not always be available in the conventional sense, but when it matters, they appear like lightning striking fast, sharp, and true. They are the friend who challenges your thinking, who urges you to dream bigger, who encourages your rebellion when the world tries to tame you. Their presence is often like a jolt to the system, awakening you from slumber, urging you to remember your deeper self. Professionally, these Aquarians are not made for rigid hierarchies or dull repetition. They thrive in environments where innovation is king and individuality is respected. They are excellent inventors, strategists, philosophers, scientists, activists, or artists who push boundaries. They bring disruption, but not destruction. The kind of disruption that leads to renaissance, rebirth, and quantum leaps forward. If you put them in a box, they will break the box. If you give them space, they will fill it with genius. Spiritually, they are seekers, not always in the traditional religious sense, but in a personal, intuitive way. They may blend science with mysticism, astrology with logic, rebellion with reverence. They don't need dogma, they need truth. They're not afraid to challenge even the most sacred ideologies if it means getting closer to the divine essence of the universe. For them, spirituality is about alignment with truth, not adherence to rules. They have their challenges, of course. They can be stubborn in their ideals, sometimes to the point of isolation. They may struggle to express vulnerability or emotions that don't fit their analytical framework. Their desire to fix everything can make them restless, and their fear of being misunderstood can lead to emotional distance. But even in their flaws, there is beauty, a lesson to be learned, a truth to be found. The Visionary Maverick, Aquarius, born between January 20th and January 30th, is a cosmic disruptor, a herald of the new age, a soul that cannot, will not, and should not be tamed. Their role is to challenge, to question, to elevate, and in doing so, they give others permission to do the same. They remind the world that being different is not a weakness, it's the foundation of progress. They show us that to change the world, you must first dare to think beyond it. They are the ones who speak truth when silence is expected, who walk away from comfort to chase meaning, who smile not out of conformity, but because they've tasted freedom and want others to taste it too. They are not afraid of being alone because they are in constant company with their vision. Their future is not a place, they live it daily, in their thoughts, their acts, their dreams. And when the world finally catches up to the ideas they once whispered in private, they will already be steps ahead, dreaming a new dream, building a new frontier. That is the gift and the burden of the early Aquarius. To always be ahead, to always be different, to always be the maverick. What others call rebellion, the Visionary Maverick, Aquarius, simply calls truth. They're not out to destroy, they're out to awaken. They're not here to follow footsteps, they're here to leave their own. This Aquarius doesn't need a spotlight to shine. Their glow comes from within. It's in their ideas that rattle your assumptions. It's in their presence that urges you to raise your standards. It's in their unyielding spirit that refuses to accept a broken system as permanent. In a world obsessed with trends, this Aquarius builds their own wave. They don't care what's in fashion, they care what's eternal. While others chase clout, they chase meaning. While many are seduced by noise, they are drawn to frequency, vibration, and authenticity. Their intuition is otherworldly. They can sense shifts in the collective consciousness before it even becomes visible. They don't just feel the energy of the room, they feel the energy of the era. Many visionary mavericks find themselves drawn to causes, not because it's fashionable, but because it's encoded in their very soul to fight for justice, fairness, and evolution. They are the ones signing petitions, building alternative systems, designing the technology of tomorrow, writing words that spark revolutions, or simply refusing to conform in the most dignified and graceful way. Their resistance is often silent, but thunderous. Their presence alone is a statement. This first decan Aquarius is also deeply connected to the mind, arguably more than the body or heart. This makes them phenomenal thinkers, problem solvers, and forward planners. But it can also create emotional distance, especially in moments when others need warmth over wisdom. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they process emotion differently. Their affection might come in the form of a well-timed idea, a life-changing insight, or standing by you when everyone else walks away, not always in romantic gestures or cliché affirmations. Despite their airy detachment, they feel life with an incredible intensity, often too deeply to show. They protect their energy fiercely, not out of arrogance, but because they know their gifts are rare and must be preserved. They are not meant to be drained by emotional drama or toxic attachments. They are here to build, to guide, to elevate. That kind of purpose requires clarity, solitude, and emotional discipline. This Aquarius doesn't just believe in freedom, they embody it. They refuse to live a life dictated by societal checklists or narrow definitions. Marriage, career, religion, success, all of these concepts are reinterpreted through their unique lens. They might create their own spiritual practice, build a family that looks nothing like tradition, or design a career path no one has ever seen before. They trust their inner compass more than any external authority, and more often than not, that compass leads them exactly where they need to be far from the crowd, but close to their calling. And though they often walk ahead of their time, the visionary maverick Aquarius never truly walks alone. They inspire secret followers, silent admirers, and fellow outsiders who find hope in their courage. They remind every misfit that they are not broken, only unfixed. They remind every wanderer that their vision is valid, even if no one sees it yet. They carry the weight of awakening the world without asking for praise. They don't crave validation, they crave transformation. As they move through life, the visionary maverick continues to evolve, not to fit in, but to rise higher. They shed old skins without sentiment. They release what no longer serves with respect, but without regret. They teach through example that detachment is not apathy, it's freedom. That logic is not cold, it's clarity. That being different is not dangerous, it's divine. They are a riddle wrapped in radiance, a paradox wrapped in progress, a human being who remembers they are also stardust. And every time they speak their truth, walk their path, or challenge a broken structure, they help the rest of humanity take one step closer to awakening. Because of them, we question more, we dare more, we dream more. Because of them, the future is not just a possibility, it's a destiny. And so, the story of the January 20th to 30th Aquarius continues, not in loud proclamations or polished perfection, but in the quiet revolution of a soul that came here to shift the world, one thought, one choice, one truth at a time. Between the final breath of January and the gentle awakening of early February, a rare soul emerges under the Aquarian sky. This is the empathic genius, those born from January 31st to February 8th. They are Aquarians through and through. Yet there's something even more delicate, more mystically intelligent about them. They are the heart inside the mind, the soft revolutionaries, the thinkers who feel, the empaths who know, the quiet visionaries whose ideas are rooted not just in intellect, but in profound compassion for the world. The empathic genius is ruled by a harmonious blend of Uranus, the planet of rebellion, innovation, and radical awareness, and Mercury, the planet of communication and mental agility. What results is a hybrid of brilliant thinking and deep emotional resonance. These Aquarians are not only ahead of their time, they also understand the emotional consequences of that distance. They do not want change for its own sake. They want evolution with meaning, with purpose, with healing. They see the world not only as it is, but as it feels. Their perception goes beyond the surface, beyond logic, beyond what can be seen or proven. They intuit energy, intention, emotional undercurrents. They read people like books others cannot even open. Yet this ability is not just a tool, it's a weight, because while others move through the world unbothered by contradictions and insincerity, the empathic genius cannot ignore what is broken. They feel the fractures in the collective soul, and still they rise, still they dream, still they create. These Aquarians are deeply imaginative, often with artistic, philosophical, or even mystical inclinations. They might be drawn to poetry, design, music, astrology, psychology, or any field that allows them to channel their unique form of empathy through intellect. Their ideas come from somewhere deep, often from a place they themselves cannot name. They are dreamers, yes, but dreamers who work, idealists who write the code, poets who understand the algorithm. Their genius lies in connection. They can connect patterns where others see chaos. They can translate emotion into structure and structure into feeling. They don't just talk, they express. They don't just observe, they absorb. It is this sensitivity combined with razor-sharp perception that makes them so effective at seeing what others miss, whether they are crafting a new philosophy, healing a broken system, helping a friend, or building technology that feels like art. The empathic genius always carries a torch for humanity in their hands. Unlike the stereotypical detached Aquarian, this second decan reveals a softer edge. These Aquarians are highly relational, even if they need solitude to recharge. They are often introverted, but not isolated. They love humanity, even if they struggle with people. They may find social situations exhausting, not because they are antisocial, but because they are absorbing too much. Every word, every glance, every unspoken feeling registers. And yet, in all of this, they remain generous with their energy until they've given too much. This is where their shadow begins. Because the empathic genius has such a big heart, masked in a quiet demeanor, people often underestimate their emotional boundaries. They are seen as calm, rational, endlessly giving. but they are also human, and their empathy, when unchecked, can lead to burnout, disillusionment, and emotional collapse. They may retreat for long periods, disappear into silence, or shut down emotionally, not because they don't care, but because they cared too much, too fast, for too long. The lesson for this Aquarian is to balance intuition with protection, to know that their genius is a gift, but not a duty, that their sensitivity is sacred, but it doesn't mean they owe everyone access to their soul. They must learn to filter the emotional noise around them, to give without sacrificing themselves, and to create boundaries as lovingly as they create ideas. In love, the empathic genius seeks deep resonance. They are not impressed by status, image, or surface connection. They crave understanding, authenticity, shared vision. To love one of these Aquarians is to enter a sacred bond of thought and feeling, of mind and heart. They will never try to own you, but they will want to understand you completely. Their love is quiet but consuming, loyal but free, soft but unshakably strong. These Aquarians are old souls, perhaps the oldest in the Zodiac. They carry memories of ancient times, star knowledge, ancestral wisdom. They may be drawn to esoteric teachings, synchronicities, symbols, or strange dreams that seem more real than reality. They walk with one foot in this world and one in the unseen. This gives them a gentle, almost ethereal presence. You may not notice them immediately, but once you feel them, you never forget. In friendships and work environments, they are supportive, intelligent, curious, and visionary. But they also need freedom to be themselves. Micromanagement, hypocrisy, and superficiality are their kryptonite. They don't need to be in charge, but they do need to be respected. They thrive where they are trusted to innovate, to imagine, to collaborate with meaning. In their careers, they often become thought leaders, counselors, inventors, educators, researchers, or artists with a mission. Their work is never just a job, it is an offering to the world. Their relationship with time is also different. They live in the now, but are constantly informed by the future. They may experience moments of déjà vu, prophetic insight, or dreams that come true. This can be overwhelming, especially in youth, but as they grow, they begin to trust the invisible roadmap that guides them. Many of them go through a quiet awakening in their 20s or early 30s, emerging with greater clarity, softer strength, and a clearer purpose. Perhaps what defines the empathic genius most is their ability to hold contradictions without breaking. They are both intellectual and emotional, strong and gentle, distant and present, analytical and poetic. They are like the wind, intangible yet essential. You cannot hold them, but you can feel when they've passed through your life, because everything is just a little more awakened in their presence. They don't need fame, they don't need applause, they need depth, truth, and a space where their inner universe can unfold safely. If they find the right environment, they will bloom beyond what anyone could have imagined. They are not made to be boxed, they are made to bloom through every crack in the system and fill the world with new ideas wrapped in heart. The empathic genius Aquarius often finds themselves standing at the crossroads of paradox, where silence speaks volumes and stillness carries motion. They are the embodiment of yin and yang, of future and feeling. There is something timeless in their presence, as though they have lived through civilizations and now return not to dominate, but to gently guide. These Aquarians don't shout their wisdom, they whisper it in the language of metaphors, in the symbolism of dreams, in the subtext of every emotion. Because of their subtle power, others often fail to recognize their depth at first glance, but those who lean in, who take the time to listen, will discover an entire cosmos inside this soul. This is not a person of chaos, but of inner symmetry. Their thoughts are constellations. Their emotions are tides that rise not to drown but to cleanse. They can read pain without asking, and respond with a sentence that somehow heals everything. One of their greatest abilities is emotional translation. They can take something raw and intangible like heartbreak, social injustice, spiritual crisis, and transform it into something communicable, something graceful, something that uplifts. In this way, they are natural alchemists. They transmute suffering into art, confusion into clarity, separation into understanding, and they do it without needing to be seen. Their reward is resonance. Their currency is connection. Even so, the world can be harsh to a spirit so delicate yet so evolved. Many empathic geniuses go through long periods of isolation or emotional exhaustion, especially in early adulthood. They may feel they don't belong, that no one truly gets them, that their insights fall on deaf ears. But this solitude is not a curse, is a spiritual cocoon. Within it, they develop their voice, refine their vision, and slowly shed the need for external validation. What emerges is a more sovereign self, radiant, wise, and untouchable, despite being mentally gifted. The empathic genius does not chase intellectual superiority. They are not here to compete, but to contribute. They value dialogue over debate, growth over ego, healing over winning. Their mind is not a weapon, it is a sanctuary. And because of this, they naturally attract those who seek depth, authenticity, and soul-to-soul truth. They do not have time for shallow exchanges or forced personas. Life is too sacred. Every moment is too charged with meaning. Spiritually, these Aquarians often walk unique paths. They don't always subscribe to organized religion, yet they are deeply attuned to the sacred. Many are drawn to energy work, meditation, dream interpretation, divination, or philosophies that transcend materialism. They are seekers, constantly decoding the symbols in life, asking why they feel what they feel, and where the invisible threads of destiny are pulling them. Their connection to the divine is quiet but unshakable, personal but profound. As they age, the empathic genius becomes more luminous. Wisdom settles into their bones. They learn to let go without losing love. They stop explaining themselves to those who cannot hear. They choose depth over drama, solitude over noise, essence over appearance. And in doing so, they become the rarest kind of leader, not the loudest, but the most trusted. People turn to them, not for attention, but for truth, not for excitement, but for peace. This Aquarian doesn't just change the world by invention. They change it through subtle revolution, by reminding us that sensitivity is not a weakness, that emotion can be intelligent, that the future doesn't have to be cold and mechanical, it can be compassionate, inclusive, human. They are the proof that genius can feel, that progress can heal, that freedom can include love. In their presence, others feel safer to be themselves, bolder to speak their dreams, stronger to soften. They awaken something ancient in USA memory of when knowledge and kindness walked hand in hand, when wisdom had a heart, and when the soul was as important as the mind. So when you meet someone born from January 31st to February 8th, look beyond the surface, listen to what is not being said, feel what they are not showing, because within them lives a universe exquisite, infinite. They may never ask for the spotlight, but they will always light the way. They are the empathic genius, the healer in disguise, the artist of emotion, the mind that cares, and the heart that knows. In the final stretch of Aquarius season, from February 9th to February 18th, a unique breed of soul is born, one that carries within them the fire of rebellion and the depth of spirit. This is the spiritual rebel, the Aquarian who dances between worlds, one foot in reality, the other in realms unseen. They are the soul questioners, the rule breakers of conformity, the seekers of higher truths, who refuse to be boxed by tradition, title, or expectation. They are not only different, they were designed to disrupt, unlike the early and middle decans of Aquarius, who tend to express their individuality through intellect and empathy. The third decan Aquarian is radical in both belief and purpose. Here, Uranus, the planet of revolution and awakening, collides with Venus, the planet of values, love, beauty, and spiritual magnetism. The result is a wild yet refined being who challenges systems, not out of rebellion for rebellion's sake, but because their soul knows there is something more, something purer, something real. These Aquarians are visionaries with sacred fire in their hearts. They might look calm on the surface, but inside burns an unshakable urge to liberate themselves, others, and the very foundations of culture and consciousness. They are old souls born into a world that often feels false, limited, and noisy. And instead of adapting, they rise. They rise by challenging outdated paradigms, by walking away from hollow traditions, and by forging a new spiritual path uniquely their own. From a young age, the spiritual rebel often feels like an outsider, not just socially, but metaphysically. They don't just ask, "Who am I?" They ask, "Why am I here? What is the truth? What lies beyond what I can see?" Their questions are too big for small minds and too bold for rigid institutions. As a result, they are often misunderstood by those who live comfortably within society's boxes. But they are not meant to fit. They are meant to crack open the status quo, This Aquarius doesn't blindly follow. They question everything from politics to religion, from family beliefs to spiritual dogma. They are seekers of divine truth, not inherited answers. They are mystics in denim, philosophers with piercings, rebels who meditate, warriors of light who fight without violence but with radical authenticity. Their life is a spiritual revolution. Because of this, their path is rarely linear. The spiritual rebel often goes through intense periods of deconstruction and losing beliefs, leaving relationships, walking away from jobs or communities that no longer resonate. Their life may look chaotic to outsiders, but this is simply the process of becoming. They are shedding skins, identities, illusions, and through this alchemical fire, they emerge more real, more raw, more free. Freedom is the air they breathe. But it is not the shallow kind sold by advertisers. It's the spiritual freedom to be sovereign in thought, in being, in purpose. They reject control in all its forms: manipulation, social pressure, mental conditioning, even spiritual coercion. They believe that every soul has the right to awaken on their own terms, in their own way, at their own time, and they live this philosophy fully, even when it costs them comfort or belonging. These Aquarians are deeply spiritual, but rarely religious. They may be drawn to esoteric studies, astrology, quantum theory, plant medicine, ancestral healing, sacred geometry, or other non-traditional forms of inner work. They may mix science with mysticism, art with magic, rebellion with ritual. There is no one path for them. There is only the authentic path, the path that calls to their soul, even if no one else understands it. They are also protectors of truth. They cannot stand hypocrisy, superficiality, or spiritual ego. They are the ones who will call out a corrupt teacher, expose a false guru, or walk away from a so-called community that's more about image than integrity. Their inner compass is strong, and when they feel a lie, spoken or unspoken, rise against it with unwavering clarity. In love, the spiritual rebel is intense and awakening. They are not here for comfort alone. They are here to transform. Their relationships are rarely traditional. Instead, they are spiritual contracts meant to provoke growth, healing, and expansion. They love with a fiery soul, often magnetically, attracted to kindred rebels, misunderstood artists, or mystics in hiding. But they need space, they need honesty, they need freedom as much as they need connection. When given both, they offer a love that awakens, heals, and liberates in return. Emotionally, they are deep but guarded. Many carry soul wounds from past lifetimes or early life betrayals, especially related to trust, suppression, or feeling punished for being too different. They often hide their sensitivity under layers of independence, wit, or irony. But beneath it all, they crave depth, truth, and soul-to-soul intimacy. They want to be seen not for their image, but for their essence. In work and purpose, the spiritual rebel often gravitates toward missions rather than careers. They may become spiritual coaches, healers, musicians, social change leaders, authors, tech futurists, astrologers, or anything that allows them to speak truth to power. They are not driven by profit but by purpose, by alignment, by impact. They may walk away from corporate systems, academic expectations, or any institution that requires them to betray their inner knowing. They would rather start from scratch in truth than succeed in a lie. They are also extremely creative, often channeling messages, visions, or innovations that feel ahead of their time. Their ideas may be misunderstood at first, but later recognized as prophetic. They are here to shake things up, not to be validated by the very systems they were born to evolve. And so, their reward is not always external praise but internal clarity. They know when they've touched truth. They know when they've set a soul free, and that is enough. As they mature, the spiritual rebel softens not in conviction, but in grace. They learn the art of patience. They realize not every battle must be fought. Not every awakening must be forced. They become teachers without preaching, guides without controlling. They lead by example, and their life becomes a quiet revolution of truth, courage, and spiritual liberation. Their presence is a gift. When they enter a room, they shift the energy, they question the norms, they awaken the sleepers, they break the silent rules no one else dares to challenge. And in doing so, they remind others that freedom is not just a right, it is a sacred duty. That spirituality is not about perfection, but about truth. That rebellion is not about resurrection. The spiritual rebel is not here to follow the footprints of others. They are here to blaze a trail where none existed. They are the ones who challenge the world, not with anger, but with illumination. Their rebellion is sacred. Their every action, even when misunderstood, carries divine intent. They don't burn bridges carelessly, they burn illusions. And from those ashes, something more authentic can rise. Many are drawn to them, sensing their raw power, their untamed truth, their magnetic aura, but not everyone can walk beside them. It takes strength to travel with a soul who won't compromise their integrity. A spiritual rebel will choose solitude over false companionship every time. They are never truly alone, though the universe speaks to them constantly. In signs, in numbers, in synchronicities, in whispers that only they can decode, their life becomes a living prophecy. One that reveals what humanity could become if it stopped fearing its own power. They are the dreamers of a conscious world, the architects of soul freedom, the messengers of a new earth. To love a spiritual rebel is to honor their truth. To walk with them is to shed your own masks. To understand them is to let go of control and embrace evolution. Because when you're with them, life is no longer about fitting in, it becomes about waking up. And in a world that often demands silence, obedience, and numbness, their presence is nothing short of a spiritual revolution.